Good afternoon. Right. So we have a guest who I'm pretty fond of. I would suggest a third generation racer, but we've got Nate Headland, arguably one of the nicest competitors in motorcycle speedway. So how you going today, Nate?
Good, thanks. How are you, Dave?
Great, bud. Now, I want to address a couple of things. First of all, the haircut. What is doing?
I think we're gonna grow it out, but I don't know. I might cut it soon. We'll see what happens. If it stays cold, I'm keeping it long. But if it gets hot, I reckon I'll cut it all off. So we'll see what happens.
Well, you're nearly smoking me on the mustache so far, which is a bit pitiful from my side because I think I'm about 20 years older than you, but the haircut's got to go. Get into some serious stuff. So I give people a chance to promote themselves and potentially in your age bracket, and that's probably not something you're so focused on yet, but some exciting news with you. You've gone from juniors to seniors. So explain that whole process.
With us in our final season of juniors, there was definitely a lot more work on the bike between meetings. But when I was, or when I started racing juniors, it was kind of you race it, wash it, fuel it up, and that's about it. Where with the seniors, it's a lot more. There's a lot more to it. You engine tuning, got to do your carbies every weekend, and it's a bit hard to say that now that I've only done it a couple times, but once I start racing a bit more, I think I'll understand how big the difference actually is. Like juniors, kind of, you don't really take it seriously or as much as you do to seniors. I know it's hard to explain, but yeah, it's a very big difference.
Not as bad as some categories because in the car world, if you go to sprint cars, you've gone from, say, for example, 100-ish horsepower open wheeler car to a 950, whereas in junior speedway sidecars, your tracks are nearly triple the size compared to the juniors, and the bikes are way different. But I did see in practice you managed to get your dad on the back for a bit. What was that like?
Yeah, it was different. He knows what he's doing, so it was pretty easy to get comfortable. As you can see, I kind of just got into it straight away, and it was a bit once we finished, he goes, "Oh, I don't reckon I'm ever doing that again. I'm back in retirement." So I think I scared him a bit because it's probably been 11 years since he was on the back, so he was a bit yeah, he was fond of the idea, but after it happened, I don't know. I don't reckon he'll do it again.
I will talk about it because I saw it. You did flip it with, I think, that solo girl on the back. So what happened there?
A few things towards it, kind of just not enough bike knowledge. Like I spoke to a few people and they said, "Oh, turn your front end the other way," but I kind of just, I don't know, it was a bit hit a slick spot and just bring me around, and learning curve, I guess. But it was it was a bit scary at first, and then once I kind of hopped up and realized I was all right, it was like, oh yeah, this is sweet. It's yeah, it's. I think it's also the fact that I've watched seniors for the last 16 years of my life, and now that I'm on it is a bit of a mental game as well, almost. Yeah, especially in that I had Kane Golding on my outside, and he's one of the quicker blokes that in the last couple of years, and I think let it get in my head a little bit, but it was yeah, a bit of a mistake on my behalf, but good learning curve.
Well, you and me are here talking about it. We're having a bit of a giggle, and that's always a good thing. But I suppose it's like anything. You're never going to learn unless you get sort of chucked in the deep end. But Whose bike is it, and how did that whole deal come about?
Um, so it's Nickie West bike, Honda 1000, and thing's killer. I'm not 100% sure how it come about. I remember Dad kind of said, "Oh, we got practice this weekend. We'll go to Gilman." I go, "All right, you'll be riding Nickie West bike," and I was like, "Okay." I never really got told how it come about. Think Dad sorted it out behind the scenes, and but it's yeah, it's killer bike, killer team. Nickie's awesome, and couldn't thank her anymore. So
What's it like having your pop Gleno in the background? Because he is honestly one of Australia's top five of all time in the sport. And yeah, I can't get over the dude. I reckon he's unreal. But what's it like to call him pop?
it's it's awesome knowing that I've got people like that around me, and I've got people who've done really well in the sport around me. It gets a bit of pressure off your shoulders almost. That knowing that you've got people there, give you advice, help you out when you need, and it's I think it's probably one of the best things that could could be. Yeah, he's an awesome person. He taught me a lot of riding a bike, a lot of riding a junior bike, and it's just yeah. Even when I was living with him over in Perth doing BMX, he just seems to be good at everything. He's one of those people that you do something and you go, oh man, you give them a shot, and it's like they've been doing it for the last 20 years. He's just yeah, it's awesome to have those people around.
Hey, I've talked about this with some other kids and people from your area of South Australia. Now, you guys are kind of spoilt because in Queensland we had a little run of junior sidecars, but the last junior sidecar to ever sort of be a thing hasn't been around for probably it'll be 6 years or so, or maybe more. So you guys have a very healthy relationship with Victoria, where
Yeah.
Mildura comes over and that, and it's quite a big scene. Um, who are some of the people that you used to race against a lot that you really want to see go into juniors or into seniors? Sorry.
I'm I used to race against Max Howes and Connor Curran and Jake Trelaw, all those people every weekend. The same with Jack Milner. He's more on the solo side now though. But it's when I started out juniors, there was a big field. There's always big numbers, and it's really good not having a big meeting and you only have three or four juniors rock up. But it's someone I'd like to see come up into seniors would be Adam Nish. I'd like to see how he goes. He's a pretty quiet kid, but he's good on the bars and he knows what he's doing. Got his head screwed on right, and I don't know. Nearly everyone that's coming through the junior ranks, I'd like to see come into seniors, because it's a big way for people to get into the sport, instead of having people who either do motocross or solos. They kind of come in. That takes them a bit, where you get juniors and they've got usually their father's race or their grandpa's race, or it's good to have people around them to help them out. And I think it should be good seeing the next couple of years to see some more people come up. So
Personally, man, I've grown up in motorsport in all forms, and I just can't get away from speedway bikes and sidecars. Like, there is other forms that are interesting in that, but nothing is as engaging for me personally without the bikes and sidecars. It doesn't hit the same. It's probably like the Diet Coke, you know what I mean? It's okay, you can have it, but you wouldn't tell your mates about it.
yeah, that's the one. I got mates who I kind of tell them about the sport, and they go, "Oh yeah, yeah." So I might come down one time and watch it, and then they watch it once and they go, "Oh, that's killer. When's your next meeting on?" It's almost draws you in as soon as you get there. It's killer atmosphere. Watching the racing's awesome. The loud noises, the smell, yes, you can't get enough of it.
Now, my favorite topic, food. What is your favorite food at the track, and what's your favorite food away from the track?
Oh, at the track would probably a hot dog. Keep it simple. Go a hot dog, a bit of sauce, some cheese. Can't go wrong with that. We're out of racing would probably be a Zambrero's burrito on the way to racing or sushi.
Now, I always like to see what different things people do for rituals and stuff. And if I'm being honest about myself, I actually do get nervous sometimes going to meetings doing what I do. So I can't imagine how nerve-wracking it'd be for you. What do you do to try and cool the nerves or just get in a zone if that's what you do?
Uh, Before the racing, I like to listen to some music, get in the right headspace. Walking up to the grid, I'm usually a bit nervous, but once you get on the track, all the nerves kind of just seem to go away. You know, you're in your own head. It's kind of race time almost, and it's weird. You come back in and you think about it, and it's like you can't understand. They just go away instantly as soon as you get on the track. So it's a bit. I don't know. I kind of like to keep the serious feeling about it. I'm not too much of a serious person, but I like to try and stay serious. But
I've got to ask you because I've just done it recently. Your dad's old van got sold to Spud, Andrew Buchanan. Have you ever slept up top? And if so, were you comfortable?
I reckon we would have done close to like 500, 1,000 hours of traveling, and I think I slept in the top of the bunk while traveling for about 75% of that, 80% of that. So I've definitely slept. I've done a few hundred hours in the top of that van. It was the best sleeps I've ever had up there after a big meeting on the way home. And
Yeah, with me, I don't know how it all panned out, but a few weeks ago I went to Tamworth and that's where I slept for 2 nights, and it was cool. Your poor dad, I was ringing him at midnight going, how do I turn the fan on and all this? But I had a great time and I ended up driving it for the whole day all the way back to Queensland. So it could be set up for this weekend's meeting for Spud, but it's kind of cool to be like the whole solo rider deal, eh?
the van makes it easy. The van makes everything easy. You've got a big space, got everything in there. Bikes, bed. We had a TV in there and a PlayStation, so kids would watch movies, and it's just a good time. Makes it go a lot faster. Makes you enjoy the travel.
You've actually come up to my home track at Brisbane, and you did a great job, man. I think you were manning like 5 kids or something while we were off doing our whole thing, and it didn't seem to bother you at all. Like, how come you're such a gentle sort of human?
I think because I'm pretty rough with my siblings, so let everyone else off the hook a little bit. But I don't know. I like kids love speedway. They love it. If you got a hill, they roll down the hill. They got toys. They're throwing them around, running around with them, doing their own races while watching the racing at the same time. It's pretty easy at a speedway event with a whole bunch of kids. They all just run around in their area, watch the racing. Goes pretty quick, so can't complain with looking after kids. I mean, I'd rather not do it, but
Now we got to talk tracks. So you've probably done way more interstate meetings and stuff like that. But some of my favorite tracks that I go to, actually, I can't name a track that I hate yet. I don't think that there's a track where I am totally not interested in going. I think my favorite out of all so far is actually Gilman. But what's your favorite track and why?
I would have to say I've done a few tracks. So I've done a Gosford trip. That's a pretty cool track. It's on the inside of a trotting trotting track, and the setup's good. Gilman, it's good to have a track like Gilman that you go to so regularly. But I think my favourite track would have to be Pinjar. The atmosphere there, the track, it's just the WA people love Speedway. They've been a bit starved of Speedway for the last couple of years, so it's just loud. Everyone gets into it. Big crowds, good racing, really good track too. So I reckon Pinjar would have to be up there for one of my favourites.
Aussie titles are there at Easter next year, and it's a pretty big chat at the moment in the pits, and everyone you talk to, eventually Pinjar comes up, not straight away, but within the realm. And talking to people like Shieldsy and stuff like that, yeah, I'm keen, man. I want to go.
Yeah, it's a killer place. All the WA people are lovely. You can't go wrong with that. There's a motocross track out the back. During practice, you get a couple 65s to 85s ringing their neck out on the sand track, and it's just, it helps that I love WA. WA is my second home, so I think that might give it some as well.
So does that mean you might be hinting towards going to live with Gleno again when you go into the actual workforce, or?
I've thought about it a couple of times. I might go over and work with him for a couple of years, and I'll see what happens. Love to go back there one day. I know Dad loves it too, and it's just, yeah, it's home basically. So
now, in the circles that your dad runs, personally, I can't believe that me and your dad are mates now, because I used to bet money on him when he used to race, and it's just wild how things pan out. Who are some of the people that you've been introduced to by your dad or whatever that you've sort of sat back and gone, oh, wow, that's that dude?
that's a good question. I kind of met everyone when I was really young. So I met Darren Chalor, when I was young. I met, I didn't even meet Glenn. He's my grandpa. So through the speedway scene, I think the coolest person I've met it would be Ty Wuffinen when he come over and swung for Dad at Pinjar. He's an absolutely ripper bloke, so super down to earth, loves people, loves the attention. He's just, yeah, it's weird to think that someone you watch on TV, you get to meet him and they give you a helmet. I've got his helmet up in my cupboard. He gave it to me signed after a race. After he raced with Dad, and I think that'd be the coolest person I've met through Speedway.
Has he made you want to go get all tatted up like the rest of us, mate, or you haven't even thought about that yet?
I haven't even thought about that yet. And I reckon I got a few years until I get a tattoo, and even then I got no clue what I'm going to get. I reckon whatever I get, I'll kind of look at it and go, I should have just stayed tattooless. But if I find a good enough reason to get a tattoo, I'll definitely get one. But not as much as him. He's tatted out to the max.
Yeah, don't do it, dude. They hurt.
I've heard that from a few people now. I think that's turning me off a little bit.
I sort of talk about this with everyone, but in your career, you've done quite a lot in juniors, but in your career, has there ever sort of been a moment where you've wanted to just chuck it all away and go? Because it's not a sport where it's very easy all the time. It's a sport where there's a lot of travel. It is difficult. It's hard on your body. Has there ever been a point where you've gone, oh, I've had enough. I don't want to do this anymore?
I don't think I've had enough. Not that I can remember, but there's been a few times where I kind of wish that we hadn't gone to a meeting after a bad night, after some bad calls, or you go to a meeting and it gets rained out or it gets cancelled. And I don't think there's been a time where I've gone, I don't reckon I'm gonna do this anymore. I seem to love it a bit too much to do that. But there's always those nights that you get a bad call, and especially in juniors, you miss one race, it's kind of all over nearly. You got to come through the semis, but I don't think there's been a night that I've gone, that's it.
I think the biggest buzzkill for me personally is rainouts, man. I have there's always someone more extreme than you. But for me personally, the biggest distance I've traveled for a rain out was Tamworth and back, and that's 20 hours all up driving. And man, I was filthy on it, eh? Like,
Yeah, I didn't do the 20 hours like you did. I kind of lived just up the road from Gilman, but I think it was, we had last weekend rained out, and that would have been my first senior meeting, and I was pretty bummed out about that one. It sucks. You waited the last 2.5 weeks in preparation, bouncing up and down, like a little girl, all excited, and just to find out it gets cancelled.
but one of my sponsors and one of my friends was actually, he flew from New Zealand to race that meeting. And yeah, he got rained out, and he just sent me pictures of him drinking chocolate milk in a hotel, like he was so offered.
Yeah, there's not much you can do to get rid of the burden. It's a bit annoying, but what can you do? Something you can't change.
It kind of sucks because when you explain this sport to people, and this is the entire driving force to why I do what I do, people can't believe it exists. And when you get them to a meeting, that's the biggest battle. You get them to a meeting, and like you were saying about blokes that they're just stoked on it, eh? And people, you know, it's like the best kept sport in the world that no one knows about. That I wish we could just break that shell and get it out to everyone.
Like I was saying before, once I get mates there, they go, oh, this is killer. But when I explain it to them, they go, oh, so you just go around in a circle 4 times? I go, oh, it's a bit more complex than that. But it's once people get there, they don't believe their eyes, or you tell them about it and they go, oh, what kind of, they might ask a couple of questions like, what kind of bikes do you race? But otherwise they kind of go, oh, never heard of it, kind of thing. So it's a bit hard on that one for people to get a grasp on it before they see it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's, like I said, this is the whole point of doing what I'm trying to do now. But say, for example, that things start sort of playing on as they're supposed to. Will you be looking at riding Nickie's sort of outfit a fair bit locally? Is that the plan for this year?
I think so, yeah. So I'll stick with Nickie for a bit, ride that bike, and it would probably might even go a long way. I'm not 100% sure yet. I haven't really thought of it. I don't know. I like where I'm at with Nickie and the team, and I think it's probably the best start I could have had to the senior career. And yeah, it's weird to think that now that I've been watching for so many years, I'm doing it myself. It's a bit overwhelming.
Now, in regards to a passenger, what's the deal with a passenger with Nickie's team? Has she got someone that she's got sorted, or what's the deal there?
Yep. So the passenger that I have for this season is Jackson Rayner. He swung on the bike last season for Tom Adams, and the only reason I didn't have him on the other week was because he had a shoulder injury from a motocross crash, but he's back up. He's all good now. He's bounced back and keen for when we go out next.
Now, are you going to keep the bike purple and all that sort of carry on, or are you going to do a bit of a throwback to when Dad was doing the whole Rockstar carry on?
So we're going to keep the color purple, but it's going to go more towards this very similar design to Dad's bike, just different colors. So kind of keep it in that range, but yeah, just change some colors around, change the numbers, all of that good stuff. So purple will definitely stay the main color.
Now, tell me about Nickie, because I never knew anything about her until me and your dad started talking with this whole thing, and she actually does killer videos. Like, her videos are awesome.
Yeah, she's absolutely amazing. She's one of the smartest people I've ever met. Some of the things she says, just I got no clue what she's talking about. I go on with it, but she's absolutely killer person. Knows what she's doing, knows what she wants, and she's a very, very coordinated. She's got everything planned out. She knows what she's doing, but I think yeah, she's probably good that I joined her team because she's willing to help out. She's willing all of that stuff, and she's just absolutely awesome person.
Week. Who would you like to thank so far for what they've done for you? And yeah, just rattle off some of those people.
I'd like to thank Jack and Mitch Spear. They the last years actually they helped me out heaps with my junior career. You know, built one of my bikes for me, and then I rode their bike last year as well for my last junior season. And Mitch is just I've known him for years, absolutely killer, willing to do anything for me. And same thing, they're basically family. So couldn't thank him for last year enough. But some more people would have to be my second family, Wayne and Christy Hearn. I'll throw Harry in there as well. They while we were racing together in juniors, we did a few hours on the road, few Tamworth trips, but they still absolutely love those people to death. So done a few hours with them, and of course Dad and Nickie and Glenn and all of those people. So I don't reckon I'd probably be where I am at the moment without them helping me through.
Well, I'm kind of stoked that we get to. It's kind of weird, man. I wish I was able to go back in time and do this with people like Trelaw and that, but we're kind of documenting your career at the very start when it comes to seniors. So I can't wait to have another chat in like a year time just to see where you're at and see how it's gone after a year of doing it.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. Get a few races under my belt, get some track time, and definitely have another talk.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, thanks for coming on the pole line, and I think I'll be down your way in 3 weeks, I think.
Oh, how good. Should see you then.
All right, mate. Well, thanks for being on, eh?
Too easy. Thank you very much, Dave.
Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the Facebook page, the Instagram, the TikTok. Please go follow my sponsors on all social media. Please share the videos. Let's get this sport out into the public eye. You're going to be part of this.